Welcome back to the channel, folks. Today's video is we're going to be replacing the lower control arm on the driver's side of my beloved Ford Flex. And that's because the current one I have, the ball joint is bad. I will also be putting in a new rear bushing because in my opinion, if you're taking this control arm out, it would make sense to put the new control arm in with a new bushing. But that's my opinion. I also have all brand new hardware. Your car, you choose to reuse the hardware. And I have this Harbor Freight bearing separator so that I can actually press this bushing on the control arm. I have my impact gun, my sockets, a wrench, and a torque wrench. As per normal, all the part numbers and all the torque specs will be in the video description. Now before the neighbor across the street starts his damn gun up again, or his grinder, and I run out of daylight, or the rain comes, let's get this going. So how do I know that I have a bad ball joint? Well, when I did the tire swap from my winter tires to my all-season tires, I gave each tire a shakedown to check the bearings, the tie rods, check for any play. And I didn't have any play at first. It wasn't until I started driving that I had like floating steering. So to shake it down again, I jacked the car up. I put my hand at 3 o'clock and my hand at 9 o'clock, and I began to move the tire. And there was going to be play. And if you look right here where my finger's at, here's the knuckle, here's the lower ball joint, and here's the control arm. These two are going to move, and they should not be moving. So as I move this, you see the control arm move down, and you'll see the knuckle move like forward. That's a bad ball joint. All right, so as you can see, I haven't taken the tire off of it yet. And to take this control arm out, it's a real pain in the ass because right here, this lower ball joint nut is going to be the most difficult part to get off because the stud right here where my finger's at is going to strip, or the wax ring inside this nut is going to strip. And fighting that with the vehicle jacked in the air and you're on the other side of this rotor right here, hunched over trying to fight this off, becomes a real pain in the ass. Okay, focus. So what I'm going to do is left the tire on, I put the vehicle on ramps to give me enough room underneath here this way, safely, where I can get my wrenches in here and crack this loose. Once I know this is loose easily, then I will back the vehicle off the ramps, put it on jack stands, and finish the rest of the job. So the ball joint nut itself is a 15/16 wrench. And as you can see, there's not a lot of room underneath here. And the stud itself is supposed to be a 11 millimeter. And as you can see, I can't really get between the stud and the axle. There's no clearance. Because I thought I'd be tricky Ricky and use a flare wrench right here. That's not going to happen. Okay. So we're going to put our wrench right here, our huge 15/16 wrench, and we're going to put our other wrench in right here, and we're going to loosen this. And using the small wrench as a way to hold this. Let's get some better light so it's not in my way. There we go. Oh. I don't think that should have moved that easily. I need to get better access to this because this is why you try to get a lift. Now mine came apart because I've already had this apart, as you saw last year when I put new knuckles and hubs on. I already had my ball joints apart. So this should, hopefully, this should come apart. Uh-oh. I have a feeling my luck here is running out. Yep. What's going to happen is this stud right here is going to strip. And you see how much play is in here within this wrench? I was afraid of that. That's what makes this job the most difficult part of this whole thing. Oh, but I might get lucky. Ooh. This is another tedious, pain in the ass job to do. Well, come on. I can't. So this is going to be a very slow and enduring process here. This is going to be a very slow and tedious process. And if you get frustrated and you get a Dremel and you cut this nut off, that's why you buy new hardware. So I'm going to keep loosening this more and more as much as I can. And then I'm going to jack the vehicle down, or roll the vehicle back down and put it on jack stands and finish the job. Alright, now that's pretty loose, when I come back, we're going to have the vehicle safely on its jack stands and the tire will be off. Okay, now that we have the jacks over here, we have 2 jack stands on pieces of wood because I'm in a gravel driveway. And this is a very heavy vehicle, so I don't want this falling on me. Kind of lay my ass in position here. Here's my nut. Oh wow, I got that all the way off. That was just hand tight. Oh, I got lucky. I got really lucky. All right, let's see if I can't finish this off sitting somehow. Not being able to see what the hell it is that I'm doing. Put the wrench over here. Okay. Over here. Let's try this one. Oh. Without my truck pulling my damn hair out. Oh yeah. This is where I really wish I could have enough room to put a ratcheting wrench on there. And I don't have an 11mm ratcheting wrench. This is ratcheting, but it's not gonna fit over this nut. Not within the clearance that's in here, it's not. Hey, I have an idea. See this gap right here? Maybe we can get a bar of persuasion and pull this arm down. Where is Mr. Persuasion? Hey. Bar of persuasion. Let's see if I can't use this to push this arm, to pull this arm down. Well, it might be easier if I didn't have a tie rod in my way, but that's okay. Bar of persuasion works. Do I have enough room to? Not necessarily. Well, this is really a pain in the ass doing it this way. Alright. Almost, folks. So we're going to have to keep doing it the slow way until I get above the wax ring of the wrench. This is also very dangerous because right now I'm inside this car, or in the wheel well, and I have one jack there, one jack right here, and I have the jack right there. And if either one of these things go, it could be very dangerous. So keep in the back of your minds when you're working on your car. Always take safety very seriously. Now, if you excuse me, I have to go back with playing with this nut. So I have to... Alright. Okay, so after working, I realized my mic died again. I think I'm at the point where I can hand screw this nut off of here and it not spin the actual ball joint itself, because this is becoming a real pain in my ass at the moment, and it would be nice to have some light. Look at that, we have light. Ooh. Do I got it by hand? Yay! Look at that. Boy, if that wasn't a pain in the... Alright, as you can see now, the nut is loose, but it's not coming off. So you need a bar of persuasion. I have a giant alignment bar. We go in the bottom hole right here of this control arm. We put our pry bar in there and we pull the pry bar down. And that allows us room to remove our nut. If you're changing out a Gen 1 strut, the procedure in the book is to break the control arm from the knuckle, and the strut and the knuckle come out as one unit. This is how you would be doing that. You would have the pry bar here, push this strut, this control arm all the way down, and with the strut loose at the top, you'd be able to pull the strut and the knuckle out as one unit. As you can see, the way that I had done it in the previous two videos, where I moved the control arm and the knuckle as one unit and left the strut in place, well, I guess it depends on who you are, or your way of attack. So now that hard part of this entire job is done. Now we do our rear bushing back here, and we do our forward bushing. Okay, now we're in the back, where the wrench is right here. The top nut is an 18, the bottom bolt is a 15. And these are kind of hard to get to because they're like way back in here. And my camera's moving because it's on the same platform I am, so I apologize. But we kind of get in here, make sure we're on the right thing we're on reverse. Oh, boy, this is becoming more of a pain in my ass to do this than I thought it was going to be. Oh, look at that. One down. Now, there's one more back in here, and the frame that's right here, part of the cabin, it sits on top of it, so it's a real pain in the ass to get to. So use the open end of your box wrench to get to it. Come on. My hair is being pulled by this. Ow. And that's it. Find your nuts, find your bolts so they're not laying in your driveway. I lost the nut. Are you serious? I lost the nut already. Oh, no, it didn't. It's right here. Alright, so if you do use your own, reuse the hardware, make sure you clean the threads out and use blue thread locker so that the bolts stay secure and they don't vibrate loose. The only thing we have left to do now is remove the front bolt, and that'll be it. And then I can pull this control arm off and we put the new one on. Alright, now we're on the front. The front is an 18 millimeter, and it sits right up here in the frame. So you're gonna want like a little extension and a swivel to get up in there to get it out. But she sits right here. Maybe I don't need the extension actually. Maybe just the swivel works. Oh. First I have to find it. Where's it at, you little bastard? No, that's one. There we go. All right. If that gun don't work, you get the bigger gun out. When one gun doesn't work, you get the bigger one out. That's why they make bigger guns. Uh-oh. Now I'm kind of stuck here. My is stuck in the why do I work on my own car half the time? It would also help if you actually had short sockets too. Or shallow sockets, that would help. I don't even know how much of this you can actually be able to see. Bar of persuasion. Camera bump. Come on. Come on. Perfect. This bullet is pretty long, FYI. It's a pretty... See, that's how long the bolt is. All right. Now, we get our bar of persuasion again, this big guy, and we pull out this control arm. And we just, there we are. We're out of the control arm, or we're out of the knuckle. And then we finagle that out of there. And that, folks, and that is how you remove out the control arm. Oh yeah, this ball joint is really, really, really bad. I shouldn't be able to do any of that. Oh yeah, this ball joint's really bad. This would be affecting your alignment because as you're going down the road, this is what's happening. All right. And I also wanted to look because I had these bushings pressed on by a shop years ago when I first did this. I wanted to see where this notch was. So when I pressed the new bushing onto my new control arm, I knew how to press the bushing on, because in the shop manual, it doesn't really say how to do it. It just says line it up with the old arm, which I thought was like, what the hell? So when we come back, we'll have a new control arm with our new bushing. And the whole process that we just did, we're going to redo it again. All right, guys. Here we are. We're at close to the end of this project. It's taken me quite some time to do this, and I apologize. I do apologize. I didn't record putting this in. Putting this in is the same way that you had taken it out. To install it back in the vehicle, the way that I had done it was I started over here at the lower control arm, the lower ball joint right here. I started right here, and I hand threaded this nut onto here so it would hold the control arm. Then I went back in the back and I used a pry bar right here, and I kind of finagled this in there, and then the front portion, the front bushing, just kind of went in. I hand threaded the front bolt through, or the front lower control arm bushing bolt. I hand threaded that through. These bolts back here in the shop manual, it does say the bolt goes through the bottom and the nuts sit on top. So that's how I thread mine in. These are torque to spec, and the lower ball joint over here, it is torque to spec as well. That's sitting over here at the end of my finger. This one, the lower, the front bushing lower control arm, I hand threaded the bolt there. The procedure is to torque that down with the vehicle under its own weight. So I'm gonna put my front tire back on, put the vehicle back up on the ramps, get my torque wrench out, and torque that bolt down. I press this bushing on. A few key things. Allow me to quickly interrupt that part of the video. I did not film putting the bushing on the control arm, but I figured if you're at home doing this yourself, you probably want some kind of idea of what you're supposed to do. The shop manual says the dog should shut up. The shop manual says you take this bearing race and removal tool and you clip it right here around this portion of the control arm. Kind of like this. And then you set the control arm in your press and you put a piece of material right here across the bushing, and then you press down. That is not how I did it, because the control arm never sat straight like this on the press. It always sat like this, and it became really difficult to push this bushing onto the control arm. So the way that I did it was, I didn't use this. How I pressed mine on was, I put some silicone grease on the shaft of the control arm. Then I set it like this on the press. I put a piece of wood right here because this is also a bushing, and I pressed down, and holding this end with my hand and this hand with the lever of the press that I had, I pushed the bushing in that way. Now, when you're pressing this bushing in, damn, this is dirty. Now when you're pressing this bushing in, with the control arm sitting like this with the ball joint facing up, and you have Motorcraft ones, there's a notch on the Motorcraft designating passenger or driver. Make sure that notch is facing down. There's actually a notch in the subframe where this locks into. You don't want to press this on wrong. I hope that helps. Now, let's get back to the rest of this video. And that has random beeping. And that concludes changing just the control arm out for a Gen 1 Ford Flex. I would venture to say Gen 2 should be relatively similar. Gen 2 Ford Flex's control arms, they do not fit a Gen 1. No. But the process should be relatively the same. Folks, this concludes this video on how to remove and replace your lower control arm on your Ford Flex. Can you believe after 70,000 miles, this ball joint is bad? Let me know in the comments. When you guys replace parts, do you stick with the OEM manufacturer or do you go with aftermarket? If you liked it, hit that button. If you didn't, well, you know what to do. Don't forget to subscribe. We have upcoming videos on the beloved Ford Flex, on it getting a new MagnaFlow exhaust system. Oh, go on, little cloud, move over. Come on, go in front of the sun. As always, folks, I'll see you in the next video. Enjoy the rest of your day, and please, when you're working on your car, be safe.